Hello, and welcome to 10 Minutes. Today we're featuring special guest Tom Beckenfork, the most notable scientist in the world.
There are many factors influencing the Rwandan Genocide. Today we are going to talk about the impact of limited arable land and how it fueled the economic and ethnic conflicts between the Hutu and the Tutsi.
Welcome to 10 Minutes. We're your hosts.
I'm Andrea.
I'm Claire.
And this is 10 Minutes. Today's 10 Minutes is about
The Rwandan Genocide, the historical
and scientific components. Before the genocide, Rwanda was split up into two groups, the Hutu and Tutsi.
800,000 people were killed.
There are many underlying components of the genocide, but today on 10 Minutes, we're going to be focusing on arable land versus economy.
Hello. Today on 10 Minutes, we are interviewing Tom Beckenfork. Hello, Tom. Nice to meet you.
Hello.
How tragic was the genocide?
Well, it was heart-wrenching. 800,000 people died in the course of 100 days.
The Rwandan Genocide is a very underreported genocide because not many people know about it. If you were to go on the street and ask them what the Holocaust was, they would probably have an answer, versus if you asked them about the Rwandan Genocide, most people wouldn't have an answer.
This is because the Holocaust killed 11 million people within the span of 4 years.
No one knows the severity of the Rwandan Genocide. Almost 1 million people were killed in only 100 days, which isn't even a third of a year. At that rate, about 8,000 people were being killed a day.
If the genocide continued for 4 more years, it would have killed more people than the Holocaust. Now on 10 Minutes,
You will see us interviewing a range of people on whether they know what the Holocaust is versus what they know what the Rwandan Genocide is.
you'll be very surprised.
Have you heard of the genocide in Rwanda?
Have you heard of the genocide in Rwanda?
I've heard of it, I just don't know that much about it.
Have you heard of the Holocaust?
Yes, I have heard of the Holocaust.
And do you know much about the Holocaust?
I know most of the major details.
Have you guys heard of the genocide in Rwanda?
No.
What have you heard more about, the Rwandan Genocide or the Holocaust?
The Holocaust.
Do you know anything about the Rwandan Genocide?
Nope.
Did you know anything about the Rwandan Genocide before we started learning about it?
No, I had no clue.
What the Rwandan Genocide is?
No.
Can you take a guess?
No, I have no idea what it is.
Do you know what the Rwandan Genocide is?
No, I'm not sure what that is.
So I've heard that arable land is a big problem in Rwanda because only 40% of the land is arable, right? And they have such a huge population.
That is indeed true. And 93% of the country works in agriculture.
I would assume that would be bad because if way more than half the country works in agriculture and agriculture goes down, then what's left of the country?
The economy plummets.
What is Rwanda's biggest import? Where do they get most of their money from?
Coffee, tea, but mostly coffee.
This is a graph of Rwanda coffee export revenues. As you can see, in 1996, the country was recovering from the genocide that occurred in 1994. The graph is somewhat exponential, showing many peaks and dips in coffee exports. Since the genocide, we see that the coffee exports are once again increasing, hopefully creating a more sustainable economy.
And Rwanda's population is already 11 million, and so it's very hard to share, especially with such little arable land.
Yes, they do indeed argue about that a lot.
Yes.
Rwanda, like many other countries, was not respectful when it came to using trees as fuel. People often tended to uncontrollably cut down trees, unaware of the horrible consequences that deforestation caused. 19.5% of Rwanda is forested. If they used up all of their trees, they would have to find an alternate fuel other than trees to be the main fuel for their nation. Deforestation led to erosion in the soil, making the land bad to grow crops on, in turn, making it harder for a huge majority of the population to make a living from their jobs in agriculture.
Arable land is such a delicate balance that the population with the most power could take all the land for themselves, potentially killing off the other population. In this graph, the y-axis is lifespan, and the blue line is population 1 and the green line is population 2. This graph shows a hypothetical look at two populations and what happens to lifespan during a genocide. Population 1 is the perpetrator population. Genocide does impact their population with a slight decrease in lifespan from 50 to 40 years, maybe due to the fact that the country is in turmoil and there are no resources like medical care. Population 2, on the other hand, has a dramatic decrease in lifespan from 50 to about 24 years due to them being the victims of the genocide.
That is how delicate the balance of land is and how much Rwanda depended on it for their survival.
You just heard the science component of the genocide. Now we're going to talk about the history component. The social structures of the people in Rwanda caused rivalry between the two ethnic groups, the Hutu and Tutsi, causing them to be natural-born enemies. Is this true?
It was partially triggered by the death of the Rwandan president, Juvenal Habyarimana. His plane was shot down in 1994. The Belgians colonized Rwanda.
Yeah, that is true. Didn't they say that one was better than the other?
Yeah, actually, they preferred Tutsis over the Hutus.
And the Tutsis were the taller, skinnier ones, right?
Yes, they resembled the white man more because they had lighter skin.
Oh. Before the genocide, Rwanda's main export coffee plummeted. Arable land was eroded and infertile, and deforestation left the country with nowhere to turn. This all contributed to the plummet of the economy. The roads were in ruins after the genocide, making it very hard to get their food from one village to another, to sell and make money. What happened to the state of the country after the genocide, Tom?
After the genocide, several generations of people were dead. The infrastructure was in shambles, and the government was a mess. All the people who had been educated were dead, leaving the schools, businesses, hospitals, and the government without capable people to run them. This could lead to a future without competent people to make decisions.
That sounds terrible. And all this stuff cycled back into the economy, worsening the situation.
They are also a third world country in Africa, which does nothing but hinder the problem.
Well, thank you, Tom, for taking your time to come out here and answer the questions.
It was my pleasure.
Now, here are some interviews with people working in Rwanda.
We will now travel to Rwanda to do an interview with a farmer who works in coffee production.
Hello, can I ask you a few questions?
Yes, of course.
How long have you been farming?
All my life.
Wow, that's amazing. So, has the arable land been getting any better, or has it just been continuously getting worse?
Every generation, the amount of arable land gets smaller and smaller, and the land itself gets worse. It is very hard to farm with the quality of the soil and with how little I have.
So do you farm any coffee?
Yes, I do. The coffee demand is very high in Rwanda, but if there is a drought or any other natural disaster, the money we receive drops for that period. All we can do is hope that the conditions will get better so we can sell the coffee again. We sold 42,000 pounds one year, and now we only sell 14,000. This is because we have little land, and deforestation caused erosion in the soil.
Well, thank you very much. This is Tom, reporting live from Rwanda.
Now we will hear some news about the economy and how it's struggling from the effects of the genocide that happened in 1994.
Hello, I am also here reporting news from Rwanda. Miss, can you tell the camera what you do for a living?
I work here in Rwanda trying to help get the economy back in order.
What was left of the country after the genocide?
It left us in terrible shape. The roads were so bad, and still are, that we can't even get food from village to village. The political setup of the country is in shambles, and the country is left without capable people.
Just as I thought. Can you elaborate?
Everyone with education has died, leaving less competent people to run the country. We do not have capable people to run the schools, hospitals, and even the government. This also goes back into the problem of arable land. We are trying to change from an economy based on agriculture to one based on industrial development. This will give us more ways to make money.
And how about the astounding fact that 93% of the country works in agriculture?
It is very bad. If agriculture suffers, that puts 93% of the country's jobs in jeopardy, and the economy plummets. That's why we want to expand the way people make money and invest in new industries.
This is Andrea reporting live from Rwanda.
In conclusion, the initial cause of the genocide was the scientific component, arable land.
while the historical component, the economy, drove the issue to be worse.